What is up everyone, today I'll be showcasing the squad that gave me a 9-1 run which pushed me up to veteran rank. I also ran this team for some more sets after hitting veteran, never went negative and almost reached the 2600s already. The team is extremely simple. It's Galarian Stunfisk, double grass. I just really love the Galarian Stunfisk Jumpluff core in this current meta, and Trevenant is just one of the best Pokemon you can run at the moment. It's extremely flexible and it functions as a really good pivot in this team to lure out some of Jumpluff's hardest answer. Which is exactly what we're going to do in this first battle, because I have a terrible lead. I pivot into Trevenant, which is going to be your usual pivot, but there are scenarios where I actually switch into Jumpluff, which I'll explain later, but generally you're going to want to switch into Trevenant. In this case, we lured a Skarmory, which is amazing, because now Jumpluff gets to avoid the Skarmory. That is of course an awful matchup for Jumpluff, and it's actually not even that bad for Trevenant. The great thing about Trevenant is that it actually has a lot of play versus some of its counters. Like the Skarmory here, it's gonna have to shield if it wants to keep switch advantage, but they don't shield, so I can Shadow Claw down here. And now we're gonna get farmed down by the incoming Sableye right here. I think, yeah, it's Sableye. At this point, we're looking very good. Jumpluff is very, very good versus both Swampert and Sableye. But since, well, my Stunfisk is pretty useless against the Swampert, we're bringing it in there, and now they're bringing the Swampert, bringing Jumpluff, and I should be looking pretty good. Swamperts, they don't run Sludge Wave anymore. Well, there are some Swamperts around that still run Sludge Wave, but generally you really need Earthquake in this meta in order to be consistent versus Lanturn. With Sludge Wave, you just don't really beat it that hard, so don't be afraid of getting sludged on your Jumpluff. But even if they hit a sludge, like Jumpluff is so incredibly tanky, you can easily take that. Acrobatics is a very good move though, so Sableye is definitely gonna have to shield this, and that allows you to switch into Galarian Stunfisk, get off the Earthquake here. This won't knock out, but we'll probably put it into a range where I can farm it down either with Jumpluff or with Stunfisk. So in this battle, actually was kind of lucky they brought in Skarmory versus Trevenant instead of Sableye, because if they had brought in Sableye and kept Switch, which by the way, they also need to use 2 shields for, so it's really not that bad. But if they brought in Sableye, kept Switch, they would have had their Skarmory on my Jumpluff, and it would have probably been over. But since they brought in Skarmory, it didn't really matter whether they kept Switch or not, since my Jumpluff, even if they had kept Switch, my Jumpluff would have been able to sweep both the Sableye and the Swampert. Next game, I get a really good lead with the Galarian Stunfisk into the Alola Ninetales. This is quite good. I've seen this a ton actually, where they have Alola Ninetales in the lead and Lickitung in the back, which they will usually switch into my Galarian Stunfisk. And this is pretty good. Galarian Stunfisk has actually a very fine matchup versus Lickitung. Since they shield the first Earthquake, I'm actually going to shield this up, expecting the Power Whip. Even though it doesn't do that much, I might as well shield it, since I do want to chip this, but actually my opponent baits there, which is insane. I don't think I've ever seen a Lickitung bait there, but you know what? It worked out for them, so that is a first for me, but alright. I really should be switching into Jumpluff at this point, to be honest, but just to save the Stunfisk for the Alola Ninetales. But the thing is, both Trevenant and Jumpluff really aren't that bad versus Alola Ninetales either. And at this point, I'm thinking, if I just get this Lickitung very low, my Trevenant is likely extremely good in the back. Most of the time, there is something strong against Lickitung in the back, like a Medicham, like a Swampert, and Trevenant and Jumpluff are both very good there. So at this point, I just want to get the Lickitung low. I just let go of my Stunfisk, bringing my Trevenant here to farm down. These Licks, of course, are dealing super effective damage, but these Harsh moves really won't do that much, so I easily tank one. We farm this thing all the way down, and hopefully it's something my Trevenant can deal with in the back. Even if they bring in a Alola Ninetales now, that's super fine as a Shadow Ball. We'll do a ton, but they actually bring in a Diggersby, which is kind of tough for Trevenant. The one ground type that Trevenant definitely has a tough time to deal with, as 2 Seed Bombs don't KO. And their Fire Punch would do quite a bit. I think I barely survive. But I still shoot up? No, I should let it go. I think this is a mistake I'm making here. I probably should have Seed Bombed, because Seed Bomb would put it into a range where I can Energy Ball it. Whereas at this range, an Energy Ball actually won't knock out a Diggersby. So maybe a little bit of a mistake there. But I also, at this point, I wasn't too aware of how much damage this would do. I honestly assumed that that would knock out. But clearly it doesn't. Wish I threw the energy ball or the seed bomb now, but I should still be fine. At most, I'm only gonna reach one more fire punch, and I should still be able to reach 2 moves versus this Alolan Ninetales then, if they were to stay in at least, because then I will get more energy. Alolan Ninetales basically gets knocked out by 2 energy balls with the Fairy Winds. Maybe not from this range though, so I should go for the acrobatics here. But yeah, generally you only need like 2 energy balls plus some Fairy Winds to knock out Alolan Ninetales, so no real need to go for the acrobatics there, unless you think you're only gonna be able to hit 1 move. But yeah, we knock it out with the acrobatics, we go for the Shadow Ball, knock out Diggersby, GG's. Medicham lead. This is the one lead where I go Jumpluff, and let me explain you why. Generally, I would not recommend you switch Jumpluff, because Jumpluff has some really hard counters. A Skarmory can basically fully farm you down, for example. A Bastiodon is really, really bad. Trevenant generally gets less hard countered. Of course, there are dark types around, like Umbreon Manibus, but they are not that common. They are not as common as Skarmory and Bastiodon, which is why Trevenant is a safer switch than Jumpluff. You could say there's like Skarmories and Sableye for Trevenant too, but Trevenant actually wins the one shield there. So in general, Trevenant gets much less hard countered than Jumpluff does. But with Medicham, there's always Lickitung, or almost always Lickitung. It's like one of the most common cores at the moment, Medicham Lickitung. Which means that if I switch in the Trevenant versus the Medicham, 99 out of 101 times, it's gonna be Lickitung, and I will get hard countered. So what I do instead is I switch Jumpluff. I don't expect there to be a Skarmory, a Fire type, a Nidoqueen, or whatever in the back here. And generally that's the case. Generally, most Medicham lead teams I faced are weak to Jumpluff in the back. They either, well, weak, I wouldn't say weak, but they're soft to Jumpluff in the back. They have like Lickitung, for example. Look, point proven. There is a Lickitung. And this is fine. This is actually wonderful. But yeah, 9 out of 10 times, it's Lickitung Alolan Ninetales or Lickitung Galarian Stunfisk. And well, Galarian Stunfisk really isn't that great for Jumpluff either. But at least it's more playable than Trevenant versus Lickitung. So I'm fine with this. I'm just gonna... But clearly they brought in a Lickitung this time, which is just amazing. I went for the acrobatics first, but I'm actually pretty sure you can knock this out with 3 energy balls. So that's a waste of 5 energy there. It's only like 5 energy more, but that 5 energy could come in clutch later. So what I would recommend you do if you're in this matchup is actually just go for triple energy ball, because it's, well, 5 less energy than acrobatics plus double energy ball, and it knocks out anyway. And I'm pretty sure, like, one thing that is nice, it is now in like rock slide range or farm down range, but I'm pretty sure with triple energy ball will be as well. Actually, I'm gonna fully farm it. Maybe that 1 acrobatics I hit is gonna come in clutch here, because now this is in farm down range. After 1 more mud shot, I'm at 99 energy. There's no point in over farming anymore, so I'm actually gonna switch to Trevenant after 1 mud shot. I do 2, which is actually stupid. I should have just done 1. But yeah, after 2, I switch to Trevenant just to get a little bit of energy lead there. And it is the Alolan Ninetales in the back. Pretty common Pac-Mon for Medicham lead. We get a little bit of a lag there, but pretty sure that was mutual, so it didn't really matter. Though it is quite confusing. I get to the Shadow Ball. Now I should be able to farm down the Alolan Ninetales. They probably won't allow me though, but they still have to throw this move, so I get 2 more Shadow Claws before they switch out into the Medicham, which should be enough energy to get to the Shadow Ball before they get to the Ice Punch. This knocks out the Medicham. Bye-bye. And then can we farm down the Alolan Ninetales? Should be easy. GG. And I still have a super loaded Stunfisk in the back as well. Lanturn lead. If this is Spark, this is amazing. If it's Water Guns, less good. Since it's Spark, I'm actually going to stay in for a little bit and switch to Trevenant. Stunfisk is actually quite good for the Spark Lanturn, but since they stayed in, I'm assuming they have something in the back that I kind of want my Stunfisk for, so I actually switched to Trevenant, because I do have 2 better answers to Lanturn in the back, in Trevenant and Jumpluff. So switching Trev, we see the Lickitung come out. Well, we've talked about this before. This is real bad. They can basically fully farm me down, and these Seed Bombs, whilst they are adding up, they are in no risk of dying. Honestly, Trevenant does do kind of okay here. As you can see after this Seed Bomb, we'll put him into the red. But after this, they've also gained like 100 energy, basically. Actually, it's... How much is it? It's 30 turns? Yeah, it's 90 energy. No, basically, basically 99 energy. Yeah, they're basically at 100 now. Actually, try to catch a Power Rip on Jumpluff, which I just want to be fancy, but it was a stupid play. I don't know if it was a stupid play, but I don't think it's the best play. could have made right here, because I'd rather take a Power Whip or 2 on Stunfisk than 3 Body Slams here, to be honest. But, you know, they're still not doing that much. Jumpluff is a bulky boy, so yeah, I don't really mind them. And they bring in Umbreon as well, so this is really not too bad. Stunfisk looking to have a lot of play. I think I would have preferred to have my Jumpluff a little healthier though, because Jumpluff versus Umbreon is definitely better than Stunfisk versus Umbreon. They're both like decent matchups, but Jumpluff got super effective Fairy Winds, of course, which honestly you cannot really even count as a super effective move. It's so weak, but it's still super effective technically. And Acrobatics is just a really good move. Like, it does so much damage, even first Umbreon. Like, that's pretty impressive. Like, those are two super bulky Pokemon against each other, and Jumpluff is still able to put out so much damage. It's just very, very impressive. I've now put it into a range where some Mudshots plus Rock Slide should be able to knock out this Umbreon. I take both Foul Plays there, because a Surf does more anyway, and I'm not at risk of getting farmed down. Those Sparks will do nothing. I've built up a ton of energy versus the Umbreon too. I actually, like, let them throw another Foul Play on purpose to farm up, because I didn't need that health. I just needed energy so I can double shield here and get to double Earthquake versus the Lanturn. And even if I didn't, I still had a catch as well. Talk about catches, they had one too. Actually, one important point I did here. I know they're probably going to attempt to catch, so what I do here is before I throw the Earthquake, I wait here. Look, I stand still there for a second. There was not lag. I actually legit stopped tapping to make sure they couldn't catch on Lickitung. And it ended up paying off as they did switch, and I was able to farm it down there. If I would have just pressed the Earthquake right there immediately, they would have actually had a really nice catch. So good attempt by my opponent there, but I kind of saw it coming, and I made sure it couldn't happen. GG's. Another Medicham lead. Go in Jumpluff here. Again, usually they don't have a hard counter. Actually, that's usually... I have faced like 2 Medicham teams recently with had a Talonflame in the back. One I ended up losing to because they also had a Lickitung in the back. The other I actually ended up beating. I switched in my Jumpluff versus Medicham. They brought in a Talonflame. Jumpluff actually got a shield there because 2 Acrobatics knock out, and they only threw a Flame Charge, so I was able to live that plus the Incinerate. And then, I don't know what to have them back anymore, but the combination of Stunfisk plus Trevenant was able to deal with it. So it's not even unwinnable if it's Talonflame in the back, though it is not. It's not great. This is not great either though, like Galarian Stunfisk. This is actually where Shadow Jumpluff is better. I'm probably going to put out a full video on Shadow Jumpluff soon, because it does have its benefits. However, generally I prefer regular. Make a huge mistake here too. I throw the Energy Ball on CMP. That's extremely dumb. Extremely stupid. At this point, I'm really hoping they shield this, but they don't. Now I'm 2 shields down. They got Medi here. I'll be able to get a shield back, but the thing is, they get so much farm. They're gonna get the double Ice Punch versus my Trevenant before I'm even able to get to the Shadow Ball. Probably, I don't know. I don't remember how many counters they got here, but they got enough to where they'll get to the Ice Punch one before my Shadow Ball. So they're at like 10 now, 1, 2. Yeah, they're 12. It's 12 for double Ice Punch. So I throw my Seed Ball on the CMP tie here, because at the very least, I want to be able to do some damage before I die. And then I'll let this go. And honestly, at this point, I just have to hope it's Bastiodon in the back. But if it's Bastiodon, they would have probably, you know, shielded their Medicham. So it ends up being Diggersby. That's over. It's a pretty hard counter for Stunfisk, especially when there's shield up. So I just concede the match. GG's. Shadow Granbull lead is absolutely amazing for me. They bring in a Lickitung, which, well, it's not ideal. It is kind of, but we saw earlier that this is actually a pretty close matchup between Lickitung and Stunfisk, especially if they can shield the Earthquakes, which is what they do here. My last opponent baited Body Slam, but I don't expect this opponent to do that. Like, no one does that. Honestly, you shouldn't do it, because even if they shield, it's kind of just not worth the risk of them no shielding. I feel like a lot of Stunfisk would no shield that, and you're just in huge trouble if they no shield a Body Slam. Yeah, they let the next one go, which is good. At this point, I'll bring in Jumpluff, since they're now in range where Energy Ball knocks out. Might need Acrobatics here. Either way, though, I'm going to take these Body Slams. I'm actually going to take another one for sure. I just want to farm up here. The Granbull has a ton of fast move pressure, and in general, in order to counter, like, teams that have, like, one Pokemon with a ton of fast move pressure, you want to make sure you keep overloading on energy against the Pokemon that have low fast move pressure, like the Lickitung here. Honestly, I could have done a better job at that here, but they might have been close to another Body Slam already, actually, which is why I threw so soon, because I didn't want to have to eat another one. They actually tried to catch an Acrobatics on this Stunfisk here. Good play, but not really gonna matter since I threw the energy ball. I made sure they couldn't catch again. Always, 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 when you're up against whatever move, I'll try to throw in the middle of their animation. Unfortunately, that is not possible against 1-turn moves, but against 2-turn moves, 3-turn moves, 4-turn moves, 5-turn moves, always throw in the middle of their animation, unless they are gonna get to the move, of course, and you gotta throw on the alignment. But besides that, always throw in the middle of their animation to make sure they can't catch. It's very important. Because that will definitely lose you games if you don't. Anyway, they know it's over at this point, so they concede the match. GG's. Venusaur lead. Now, this is actually not too bad for Galarian Stunfisk, but I have 2 better answers in the back with Trevenant and Jumpluff. Besides that, a very common back line with Bastiodon is a steel type. With Bastiodon, with Venusaur is a steel type like Bastiodon or Registeel or Stunfisk. I kind of have to lure those out. Trevenant is not going to lure out Registeel or Stunfisk, of course, but it would lure out Bastiodon, which we have successfully done here, which is amazing. Sometimes with Venusaur, I've even seen like Skarmory, which I think is kind of wild, but again, I have 2 better answers for Venusaur, so it's safe to switch out there. What you see me do here, I go completely against what I just said a second ago about throwing in the middle of a move, and I throw on alignment because I threw exactly when they were at the 14th smackdown, which is enough for the second flamethrower. I was hoping they'd be stupid and throw it on the CMP so that if they shielded, they would have also needed to waste their move, but doesn't happen. They actually let it go. They bring in the Registeel. At this point, I'm looking pretty good. The only thing that can go wrong here now is if they catch an Earthquake on their Venusaur. Honestly, that's kind of scary, but I should be able to survive on Focus Blast. As you can see, I do, and I can safely get to double Earthquake before they get to 2 more Focus Blasts to get through my shield and the rest of my health. However, like I said, the problem here is if they catch the second Earthquake, but I'm gonna have to hope they don't. Again, this is a 1-turn move. They can switch at any point. There's no throwing in the middle of an animation here, so it's always scary. They actually switched before I even get it, though. If they would have not switched before I got it, I would have farmed up 5 more Mudshots there. After they've thrown a Focus Blast, even if they farmed up to 100, it's always at least 5 more Mudshots before they can get to the next Focus Blast. So, that would have been my plan. Just farm up 5 more Mudshots, throw on the 5th. Because then I ensure I get it before the Registeel gets to another Focus Blast. And more than likely, they've already switched before that point. Because, well, they expect you to throw immediately, or like maybe 1 or 2 after you get to the Earthquake. At this point, this is over. I'm just gonna throw some acrobatics here. But, oh, my opponent's actually gonna make a nice player. So, there is like a bug in the current state of the game, alright? First off, my opponent's gonna Focus Blast here. Undercharge, so they can farm me down. There's like a bug in the current state of the game where sometimes, especially when you switch during a charge move, your switch will take 1 turn, your charge move button is not gonna come up. And that is what my opponent is relying on here. This looks stupid, I know. My opponent, why would you not go for the full farm down, right? This looks very stupid, but it's actually very, very smart. It would have been his only win condition if I switched into Stunfisk there during my Jumpluff's move, and I either 1 turn lagged and my charge move button doesn't show up, or I just did another Mudshot by accident and they Focus Plus then. It would have been their only win con, but I wasn't gonna take that risk anyway. I was gonna let my Jumpluff go down and just come in with Stunfisk and Earthquake, since I know Stunfisk wins CMP anyway. That's just a safer move to go with, and as you can see, works out here. GG's. Nidoqueen lead. This is pretty good for Stunfisk, so they switch out to Sableye. That lead can actually get kind of uncomfortable if they bait, to be honest. So I'm kind of happy they switched, since this means I can probably at least get a bit of an energy lead on Stunfisk before I get into that matchup again, or maybe take a shield. Sableye versus Jumpluff is pretty good for Jumpluff. Fairy Wind doesn't help too much here, even though it helps a bit. You know, Bullet Seed did like no damage, and Fairy Wind's also doing no damage, but at least a little more. Actually, maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. These Fairy Winds are actually adding up. They're almost at like 60% now. This Acrobatics basically knocks out. They shield it, which is super fine with me. At this point, oh, they actually overfarm. Folks really like underestimating Fairy Wind's energy gain. Like, this is kind of still a new Pokemon. People still have to get used to it, and that happens all the time, where they're just not really aware of how much energy it has, but they really get there quicker than you expect. It's 9 energy per Fairy Wind, which means it's only 7 per Acrobatics. That's 14 turns. For reference, 14 turns, That's less than Azumarill takes for an Ice Beam. Azumarill takes 5 bubbles to get to an Ice Beam. That's already kind of quick. That's 15 turns. But, like, Jumpluff gets there in 14, which is just wild. Anyway, Obstagoon is very, very bad, especially in the lead. This is super bad, but at least it was in the back. It was still against my Stunfisk and Trevenant, which of course is not ideal, but since I had a shield advantage, this is super, super fine. Go for the Earthquake here, this knocks out the Obstagoon. You actually saw me no shield the cross shot there. I do that because I know I survive it, and it does less than a potential Earth Power from the Nidoqueen will do, so it's just a safe no shield. And I still get the Earthquake first. The Nidoqueen anyway, GG's. Now, this is a great lead. They bring in Registeel too, which is kind of awkward. It's actually not awkward at all. I just made it awkward. I'm deciding to stay in. I wasn't expecting them to throw Focus immediately. Generally, Registeel gets to the Focus Blast 1 lock-on before the first Earthquake, and then you will outpace to the second, since it's 1 shot less for the second Earthquake. But because they switched a turn, they actually got there in CMP. I wasn't expecting them to throw immediately, so I actually thought I was just going to take a shield there, then switch. But now, though, instead, I'll just take a double 2 shields with the second Earthquake, and then switch to Trevenant. Problem here, though, is that Registeel does win zeros versus Trevenant generally, and even though I've chipped them already a little bit with Stunfisk, I'm still kind of scared because they have that energy lead. They might still be able to take a shield here, which wouldn't be ideal. It really depends on what they have in the back, and they actually saved their Registeel too, which is kind of scary. Honestly, I kind of misplayed that. I should have just came in Trevenant versus Registeel like immediately. I would have probably have to use a shield with my Trevenant because Registeel does knock you out into Zap Cannons, but then I still had my Stunfisk aligned to the Altaria. Even with a shield down, it's very, very safe. Yeah, in the end, this I think worked out too. The Registeel is not at a move quite yet, so it's not too bad, and it's also in a range where like an Acrobatics would go. So it's we're still in a pretty good spot here. I should probably not throw my Rock Slide that soon. I mean, I didn't. Maybe I should undercharge a bit. It's just a bit unfortunate. The Altaria got to the Sky Attack like at the last second, and I didn't really get much shot farm down. I would have preferred to have more energy there. They ring the Azumarill here. Ice Beam at this point is going to be the hardest hitting move. So oh, look at that. Wait. This is a good play. This is a good play. Okay. So generally, with Fairy Wind versus Azumarill, if they've thrown the Ice Beam, you want to throw 1 Fairy Wind before throwing your Energy Ball, because then you give them at as little extra turns as possible. I throw immediately here, which if they stay in with Azu, they get a full free bubble. That's generally bad. But I did that because I was expecting their Registeel to come in, and if I throw an extra Fairy Wind, they might get to the Zap Cannon before I can throw my Energy Ball. So I actually decided to throw it immediately, expecting the switch, and they did switch. So now I'll be able to get off this Energy Ball versus Registeel. This knocks them out. And now my Jumpluff will just be able to finish off the Azumarill. Look at how little damage an Energy Ball does though, to be honest. It's kind of wild. I think I need more than 2, generally. Yeah, look at that. It only does like 40%. So in general, actually in the Zero Shields, this is not too amazing of a matchup for Jumpluff, because they are going to reach 2 Ice Beams. Especially with like Energy Lead. If Azumarill's Energy Lead, Jumpluff is actually going to get outpaced to 2 Ice Beams before he can get 3 Energy Balls, and the 2 Energy Balls don't knock out, so it's not too good. But since they're already chipped there a little bit, I take it out, and it's a GG. Deoxys lead. This is pretty neutral, I'd say. Generally, I do like being the Galarian Stunfisk here, as Deoxys' charge moves really don't do that much. One thing I've found about Deoxys is that most Deoxys lines are kind of soft against G-Fisk in the back, so I kind of want to save it for a potential, I don't know, like Bastiodon in the back. And this is another one of those leads where I'm not really expecting something super strong against Jumpluff in the back, so I take a shield with that. With that Earthquake, and then I switch to Jumpluff. Another thing, you definitely don't want to switch into Jumpluff before they've thrown at least 1 move onto your Stunfisk. So since they threw the Thunderbolt quite quickly there, I switched to Jumpluff. If they hadn't thrown that move yet, I would have waited until they throw at least 1 move into my Stunfisk and then switch to Jumpluff. They're bringing Alolan Ninetales. This is not a counter. Fun fact, Jumpluff beats Alolan Ninetales in the 1 shield and 2 shields if you have 2 Fairy Wind advantage. It's kind of insane. I think I went for the Acrobatics first there. Mistake, since 2 Energy Ball kill anyway. It's only like 5 energy more, but why would you use that 5 extra energy when you can just knock out two energy balls anyway, right? And get a potential defense drop. That's not really gonna matter, but still, I should have just gone straight energy ball there. Just a slight mistake there. I wouldn't really call it a mistake, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're facing a double charm line. At this point, this is very, very over. I got my Stunfisk versus the Wiggly. I got my Trev versus the Deoxys. This game is definitely over, just like the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. For more Jumpluff action, I already got a video uploaded to the channel, and I'll probably make another on Shadow Jumpluff, so subscribe for that.